September, and it's Harmony on the Hill, the name of the animation production we're doing. So today, we're touching base, and we need to think along lines of closure. So this is how I want us to start thinking. There's work which we all have that we're supposed to do, and I'd like us to emphasize completion on our side. So Jake, maybe you can present what you have done, and Alfan, if you can present what you've done. Maybe Alfan, you go first, and then we can hear from Jake. Then I'll come in and also give you my part of it. Is there any presentation you can make for us, or do you want to share the screen, Alfan?
So give me just a moment to set my things up.
Okay, so. And also, Jake, if you set your stuff up, then that would be good. All right, so as you're setting yourself up, maybe I can take us through where we are in terms of the work with the client. So we're supposed to be closing now. Maybe I'll start with my own shortcoming, because on my side, I think I've lagged behind terribly on the pre-production, pre-visualization. And I've been rendering scenes. I've rendered Act 2, and I need to render Act 3. So I've started rendering Act 3. That's the main characters, of course, and the background characters. So those renders are going on my machine. Hopefully they'll be done by, let's say by tomorrow, to be safe. So if those renders are done, then I can build up the scene and now share with everyone. We have a meeting with the client on Monday to see the pre-visualization. But I'd like to have it ready by tomorrow so that we start the work on the pre-visualization the way I've been hoping we start. It has taken long for various reasons, but I don't think my reasons are good enough. It's just I've not had enough time to put into it, really. And as such, it's fallen behind. So what I'll try hard is to prioritize it for tomorrow, to finish the rendering, and then share. At least do a quick scene build, and then share that with everyone. So that I'll do. Today I'd like us to just go over the folders, be clear that where are we putting our files once we've done the work, so that we can start to pre-compile the work, like Act 1, Act 2, and then Act 3. The client can use Act 1, by the way, independent. So even if we have Act 1 done, they're saying give it to us, we'll use it. So I think if you're done with your work now and we can see it's done, we can pre-compile Act 1 and show them for the purpose of them starting to use it. And we can move on to Act 2 this week coming and try and finish it. And then Act 3, try and finish that the following week. But they can still start work with what they have if we give them Act 1. So that's what we'll be discussing on Monday. Yeah, so that's the thing. My concern is just my own productivity is not high because I've not been able to finish the pre-visualization properly. So I need to sort that out so that I can at least catch up and make sure that we don't fall further behind. So Alfan, if you're ready, we can go. If you're ready to show us something, just share the screen.
Yeah, okay. So on my side, I can show you the part that I've already worked on. I'm just remaining to do the coloring. But you were to send me some files of which you haven't done that. So I haven't been able to do the rest of the scenes. But let me just share what I do have right now.
Okay. This was Act 1 scenes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Ishun, there's no going back. Grazing on the hill in this conservancy is our next best hope. I agree with you, my friend. Our grazing land is depleted. Livestock won't survive without enough pasture.
Grazing has changed. Our fathers had many cows. The livestock used to graze over short distance, but now they move very long distances.
Back then, they used to make grazing decisions together, but now we do it individually.
So, so that's the part that I've worked on. So need
Okay.
to do the completion of
Okay. Yeah, the animation looks okay as far as the movement is concerned, but there are jerks between, let's say, scenes. So that jerk, it looks quite big in one case. Are you able to smoothen out that? You know, it suddenly just jumps.
Then they use
this.
Yeah, it might be that. But it was playing and then suddenly it became big. Then suddenly he moved
It's
sideways.
from the. That's how it is in the reference. So see. Yes, sure. You see. So this is the part where then you see.
Oh, you're saying that it's oh, I see.
Yeah, so I thought it was the change of camera. That's why.
Yeah, and it's like a crossfade. Yeah. Okay, so that's okay. Then you'll have to render it as two parts so that the editor can fade one into the other one, I think. You know,
Okay, no.
where you can see it jump, let it end, and then let the next one start with the jump cut, and then we can see how to transition them. Because I can see the crossfade there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. Just render it out as scene. The other thing was are you rendering them out as, I think you're outputting them as PNGs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then that's okay. Because then the editor can pick them up as PNG. I want to establish the scenes I need to give you because we have an animatic MP4, just like this one you're using. Is it an MP4 you're using for this?
Yeah.
But you had wanted the colored frames, right?
Pardon?
You had wanted the color renders, the color.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just go through it with you now. I'll share my screen. Let me show you. I'll share my screen. Okay, so these are the different acts. Let me see what this is. Yeah, these are the color renders. What frame number had you reached? Do you know?
It was from 13.
From 13.
Yeah, and can you maybe compile it into just one video so that we can just cut it on our own, the parts that we need, because it will be much easier.
But that will take time. If I'm do it now, what's easier for me to do is to upload this as you see it right now. Then if I upload it now, it'll at least be with you. And then I can cut it into one video next. But I have to do a black and white version, you see. So definitely I'll cut the black and white version and then I'll do this one. But that will have to be the last thing. So the first thing I do is upload all these folders because there are quite a number of folders here. If you say I just upload them now, it's quick because I'll do it now. And then you'll have them. Then the next thing I need to do for the client, for the sake of everyone, I have to do the black and white version. the cut that you were looking at for the edit. I have to do that version. So that even buys us time. So I need to do that. Then I can now come and edit the color version. You see? So to save time, I start by uploading this, do the black and white version, then I come and do a color version. And that now, at least you're working. My fear is just making a decision that will mean that you don't do something until I do it. Then I know we won't move. But I just need to give you something so that you keep moving, and I will now, we don't stall the job any further. Okay, so all this I'm going to now upload because these are sequential themes that you're saying you can't see. And it's interesting, I thought I had uploaded them, so I'm just going back now. This is the production folder. Pre-visualization is here. Okay, that's black and white. 1 second. This one is empty. Scenes is empty, I think. Is it that you've not seen, have you seen anything that I had sent you on those color files, Alfan? Where had you seen them? Rotoscoping?
So it was on an old folder,
You mean not in
not the
production?
recent ones.
It wasn't in
Pre-production.
production?
Let me just check on my side.
Okay. This one I'll remove. Yeah, I think it must be production anyway, not pre. Layouts? No. So these are renders associated with the pre-render. So let me just set it up now. Pre-visualization is here. I'm going to set up a folder in pre-visualization. I'm calling it renders.
So it's in that folder.
Which one?
I'll
Pre-visualization?
send it on the side chat.
Oh, you've sent the link. Okay.
On the side chat.
Okay. All right. Let me just click on it here. Oh, it's version 1. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I can see them. They all seem to be here, by the way. So you're saying
13, Act 1, Part 13. From Act 1, Part 13,
they're empty.
there are no, yeah.
Oh, I see the problem there. Let me find that. 13. Here's Act 1, P12.
Can it, just open it.
Okay. Yeah, there are files here.
Then the next one.
The next one. Next one after P12 is P17. So I go into this one, P17. Oh, P17 is empty. Oh, I see what you
Yeah. So from there.
Oh, I see. And then this one, this is P21. Okay, so if I go on my hard disk, P17 here, I see these are the files that are missing. Then 21. Okay, so I'm going to upload them right now as we're in the meeting, so that that's a done thing. It goes on up to 36 down here. So I'll put them up just now so that we have them.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then The Acts 2 and 3 are the ones I'll be uploading tomorrow for this. So, okay, so thanks for that. Sorry for the trouble. I don't know. You know what I think happened, which I was not aware of, is that this Google Drive ran out of space. That's what I suspect. And when it ran out of space, it just didn't load those files. That's what I think. But I've since bumped up the space anyway, so it should be enough now. Okay. Jake, you want to share your work with us? I can stop sharing.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
I can't see it. Yeah, I can see it.
Just so this was the last time you told me to redo this motion graphic for the rangeland benefits. So I rearranged everything and made it a bit more just okay. Can you can see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Let me play. I made it flow in the middle, and then it's lagging. I think when exported, it will play well. When rendered, it will play better.
Okay.
So as I was saying,
yeah,
I made the first flow, which the traveling is the middle, and then the sides come in, because I remember before everything was going, it was too much going on, and someone wouldn't understand. So when someone reads the rangeland management rules, going down conflict management, blah blah blah, down to the institutional support, and then other benefits are conservancy development and carbon market, which help the public through livestock and wealth and community development. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is, I did this.
yeah. The
And
book is looking good actually, but I still want to comment on the revealing of the elements. That in terms of the what's being emphasized by our story is you see this middle section that you have right now on the screen, where it says grazing practices. So the grazing practices are the main emphasis. The land rehabilitation and this um, conflict management, those ones are not being emphasized. So what is okay is to bring up, let's say, management, and in fact, I think from the human perspective, is to bring up grazing practices first. Just bring it up so people see it and then they identify with it on its own. It stays on the screen a bit longer because it's important. So you bring it up, let it stay a bit. When I say a bit, I mean let it stay for 2 seconds or even 3 seconds, which is, on a timeline like this, 3 seconds is something like 25 frames. So let it stay. That's great because the talk and the voiceover is going to concentrate on the grazing issue. And then after that, allow these other two to just come in, 1, 2, like the way you're doing it, very fast, because it'll de-emphasize when they come together like that. People will not be able to tell what they are, but they'll see, oh, come, okay, fine. But then you can keep moving. Now, after the grazing management, and you see that line of grazing management is connecting a very important thing. It's connecting morans. This story is about morans cattle. So connecting morans with cattle. So if you say morans, we see it. Then we see grazing practices. Connecting to what? Cattle. Fisher. If you see that, you've told the story visually with that one graphic. Okay? But they have to stay on the screen a bit so that we appreciate them before we move on. You see? So that's what I need you to emphasize. So start with morans. If you show elders and women, the writing doesn't have to show. The platform can show the graphic behind it, but the writing doesn't have to show. It can come later. But when the Morans appears, the Moran character appears. The other characters don't have to appear. Then grazing practices appear, and then the cow and the support for the cow, that pasture, and then rangelands come, so that we connect cows, grazing practices to rangelands. That appears and holds on the screen for 75 seconds. 75 frames. That's great. It can even be 100 frames. How long you hold it for it doesn't matter. But as long as it's held, then the editor has some freedom of flexibility with editing the voice. So that stays. Now, once that's happened, you can introduce these others as a by the way. So that's just a by the way. But they come the way you've done them. Just the way you've done them. You don't change the speed. They just come one speed and they appear. This bottom line will come right at the end. This one says institutional support, empowerment. That last line, it's just giving a context, a foundation story. So that can come right at the end. However, once you've hit rangelands, and then you see that top banner, the one that says rangeland management rules at the top. Now, from there, the most important thing is carbon market. In fact, this whole thing is funded by the carbon market. So from there, we have to move to the right. We don't introduce the left, we only introduce the right. So we introduce carbon market, and we show the public, and we show. In fact, I would even suggest, because people's minds, the way it works, if you show the carbon market and then come back to the Morans, that's one cycle. Then show the public, the building, and then it comes back to the Morans. That's the second cycle. But there has to be a hold at the end of each one of them, even if it's for 3 seconds, 75 frames, so that now people can sink into people's heads. You see, so those holds can be tightened, they can be edited, but they provide a marker for the editor so that they can know that at this point I can edit according to the voice. So there are 3 things I've seen here which are central to our story. There's a 4th one, but it's the Morans, grazing practices, and rangelands connection. Then comes the rangelands, carbon cycle, Moran connection, as well as the additional one for the carbon cycle, public, and then development cycle. So that they come one after the other because of the importance of it. Now, once that's established, the one on the left can now happen. The one on the left, so it happens after all that, is this one with the conservancy development. It shows now the public and then the pasture on the left. That cycle can be established. There are two arrows. You can show one arrow first. Yeah, like you can show the outer arrow first, because the outer arrow is the main one. The one that goes to public, livestock, wealth, and then back again. And then there's this arrow that connects to okay, can come last. So that last one, it comes, it settles, it stays for 75 seconds. And then comes institutional support, empowerment, governance structure, and land change. That can come last. So your animation is good. There's no need to change the animation. The graphics are good. You don't need to change the graphics. And the only thing is that's storytelling, that what comes first, second, and third, and what we are emphasizing. So the core of our story is the beginning, which is great, which is Moran's grazing practices and ranging. That's the core. But the reason for the story, which is following through on that, is the carbon market. You have to connect the carbon market story. And then once that's done, you can say supporting element of the story is this left side view, which is conservancy development and livestock. So that can come last. Now, the job of the editor is to take this graphic and then edit it to voice, but now it now matches the voice. But when you have those holds, those long holds, it helps the editor to get some footage that they can pick out and edit. Okay, so this is okay. And then, are you rendering it out as sequential frames? You know how to render out sequential frames, Jake?
Oh, I was thinking motion graphics. I render it just as a MP4. Because
Yeah, you can. Actually, the reason for the sequential frame is keying. If we're going to put it out, then the MP4 has but it's okay. I think for the stage we're at, as long as you still have this file, you can just render it out as MP4, and we will work with the MP4 at the stage we're at. It might not need any keying. This white background to me looks like, but for now we can keep it. So I think that's all. That's all I'd say about this one. So it's kind of ready. So we can definitely present this on. If you can sequence it like the way I was describing, then that would be
okay.
Okay.
I want to share the grazing.
Okay. All right, so I can just talk on the rest of it. Yeah, I thought the lip syncing that you did, Alfan, looked to be correct. It just seemed to be working, which is good. So I'm hopeful that the others will also be able to lip sync their work so that we can have that as part of the stage we are reaching with Act 1. Because once you've lip synced, then the major job is done. Coloring, scene building can be a challenge, but it's not a big one. And so that means the end is nigh. Once you hit lip syncing and your animation is working, then it just means we're on the verge of it. So I think that's good, and I'll make sure that I share these things with you tonight so that you can complete that exercise that you're already working on. And in the meantime, I'll render my machine is very slow in rendering also. I need to soup up this machine, but I'll make sure that I have it done by tomorrow so that we can make it with our client. Now, there's while there's a we have, which it's an animation that we're producing, which is fully animated. We need to talk about it, but I want us to finish this. If we finish this in 2 weeks, we'll be just in time. And we'll discuss it from a job in terms of technical work point of view first. Once we understand, we'll discuss it from a pay point of view. Everyone knows how much they pay. And then a schedule point of view. We'll discuss those points of view in 2 weeks' time, once we're done with this one. And yeah, so there are many things that are happening, including the changing of the way that we're working. And why I'm saying it is based on AI, and it's really affecting the animation pipeline. The main effect is that certain things which will take time, we have to discover how to make use of it in a way that will speed up our work, which means make it less costly. So we have to discuss those things. We'll also look at yeah, so those are the things now I'd like us to look at. But if we finish this in 2 weeks' time also, we can discuss the balance of payment for this one, because the balance will be due once we hand it over to the client. And we'll discuss it so that you know when we're getting paid for this. And the new job will have its own deposit. So we'll discuss the costs and the deposit for the new job. And at least it gives us a footing, a starting point. All right. Are you ready, Jake? Are you sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can. So I'm showing movement of cows as they graze through each paddock, and then as they leave one to rest, the other ones change color, getting prepared to be grazed again. Yeah. And yeah, that's the end.
Okay, yeah. So this is okay in terms of the movement of the graphics, but there's no animation in those cows. That's the only thing I would say. So, yeah. So it looks PowerPointish, you know. And I don't know if the client's going to raise that. Even when these cows sit inside a box, the cows, you're moving them around. You know, you break the immersion, the feeling of reality when you do that. If you just move them across and keep them still without moving, then it's like the cows have moved. But if you move them across, they're in the box, and then you start rotating. Now people will ask, so these cows are rotating. What does that mean? See? So, yeah. And the kind of audience and the kind of purpose of this thing, it will detract from the message. So I think it's better move them into the box, keep them still, move them into the next box, keep them still, move them again. Because this is educative. It's meant to pass it. I think movement that would be missing in my mind is that cow, it's good if you animate one cow grazing, one cow with its head down, one cow moving, but with its head up. Not walking, but they're all grazing. It's just that the grazing behavior is slightly different for two cows. Then you replicate that. These are like, you have here 8 cows. So you replicate the behavior of 2 cows out of sync to the 8 cows. so that it feels like these cows are grazing. Okay, so two grazing behaviors of two, you animate that, and then you know how to create a precomposition in After Effects. You see, you
Yeah.
can animate in After Effects a cow with its own timeline,
Yeah.
recompose it, it becomes an object, and then you put it there as if it's an object, the way you're moving that. And then now you can move it, that object, from one end to the next end, and they are grazing. Where it's brown, I suppose there's nothing to graze. So where it's brown, they don't have to be grazing. They can be now like the way they are, stiff. Okay? But where it's green, you can have the grazing. See? Now that way your story, you're integrating first of all, you have a deeper motion graphic because it not only has movement that's talking to the audience, they'll notice, but if you study the movement, you'll notice where grass is green, there's more grazing, more cows are grazing. Where the grass is barren, no cow is grazing. But where the grass is not so green, less cows are grazing. Where it is olive, like this bottom right corner, even less cows are grazing. When it's brown, no cow is grazing. See, that can also, if you give information like that to the trainer, they'll now problematize it. They'll put it into the training. What do you notice about these cows? You see, and in relation to this background, that's a much more significant educational resource if you were to animate those cows. So I'd encourage you to try to animate. And you don't need, because of the size, you don't need many frames. It's not a detailed animation, but you need enough movement to get that message across. Again, you only need two cows, animate in a different behavioral way, so that when you replicate them by putting them out of sync, the frames play back out of sync. It looks like all the cows are just animated. Okay? I don't know if it makes sense, Jake, if you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it, but the point where there are less cows in the less greener parts, I don't think they necessarily graze like that, because like once cows are off a paddock, all of them are off the paddock. I don't think they leave one or two cows.
Yeah, you're saying you're all graze anyway. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe if you want to be totally realistic about it, then maybe what you need to do is to what animation message, like when a cow is grazing but there's less to graze on, what's the behavioral change? And that's the question you're answering with each box. The one I was giving you was a simplistic one. It's true. They don't graze like that. It's now symbolic that now we're saying that this one that's not grazing is looking for food, but the one that's grazing found some food. Maybe this one is looking, where can I go and graze? So that's simplistic, you're right. But the question still needs to be answered that the grazing is effectively reducing on each paddock if that's what the message is. Is that the message? Because I'm seeing the grass seems to be getting browner. That's correct, right?
Yeah, yeah. As when, let's say, for example, like these cows,
Yeah,
let me play it.
yeah.
Okay, just a bit.
So it starts off in the brown.
Yeah, they start off in the brown.
Sure.
Oh, this is just, yeah, they start off in the brown.
Okay.
And then they move to, let's say, they move to the next paddock. And as they eat, the bottom right paddock becomes greener because it's the next paddock that's going to be grazed. As the paddock that they just left starts becoming green,
Yeah.
then when they eat it completely, you see that the colors changed from the brown to the semi dark brown.
Yeah.
And the green pastures at the bottom right, they're completely green. Then the next paddock to be grazed is about to become bright green.
Oh, I
And
see.
yeah.
Okay. I understand now. Yeah, so you're right. That kind of description I was giving was wrong. What I'm understanding now is maybe animation can help improve the direction of movement because the cows are always facing the same direction. But possibly what you could do is to make them turn around. And once you turn them around once, you can always turn them around in that way again to face the right direction. But you have to now experiment with one so that when they want to go to the next one, they turn around and then they walk. interesting, you have arrows. These arrows seem to have gaps. It's like they can go around the, this is another thing. These guys in northern Kenya, it's a crime to have a fence. You can't have a fence in northern Kenya. If the client sees this, that will be the first thing they'll tell me. So the cows will just move, but there's no fence. Because it's criminal to do that. So you have to remove the fence. They'll just walk across. When they'll go by what you were showing as the color zones. So they'll go to the green grass. But you can now animate cows turning, grazing, two motions there. So if you have one of turning and walking, and then there's walking, yes. If you can make them walk, I think it's all very convincing if you can do all that. But the main one might be grazing. The second one might be turning to help give the sense of direction. Then you can move them across if they're not walking. But if you can animate them walking, great, because then you have the 3 animations nested within the cows, and then you know how you're sequencing it so that it looks like the cows are doing what we want them to do. They graze, they walk, and they turn. And then that way you have a complete thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, does anyone want to comment? I'm just commenting based on what I know of the clients has some messages they want to pass on the motion graphics. But if anyone wants to comment on the animation or even help Jake with any ideas that can help improve, just feel free. Okay. All right then. So let's move then to the next. Yeah. Do you have timing for these things, Jake? When you're doing the animation, that timeline, is it based on the timing on the storyboard? And the reason I'm saying it is because the storyboard has been timed to the animatic. So the voice that's been recorded is the time frame is in the storyboard. If you want to know how long this is lasting for, work with 25 frames a second. So if it says 2 seconds, it might say something like, let's say, 15 seconds. You multiply by 25, then you know how much time you have for this in terms of frames. So
No. Okay. So.
okay. You have another one?
No, that's all.
The carbon?
Pardon?
We had presented that last week.
Yeah. The last time, I presented that last time.
So that's not changed. Have you rendered it out as an MP4?
No, but I will. I can do that tonight.
All right. So you'll put them all into your folder for motion graphics in production, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right then. Okay. The others have not come. I'm not sure about Alban. Alfan, have you seen Alban of late?
No, I haven't. But I had talked to him previously.
Yeah, he's been quiet. I'll try and reach him also. Even Vikram, I'll try and reach them. Okay, guys. So let's then we can get on. I think I'm happy with the progress, although it's been slow. But I have also been slow, so I need to also step up. And if we can try to aim maximum 2 weeks, because I'll be meeting a client on Monday, and they'll be now pushing me very hard. So we have to also go in with some commitment. And I want to commit to them that here's the pre-visualization, and it has everything, and tell them Act 1 will be ready by Thursday. That will be the edit, the final edit. And Act 2 will be ready the following Thursday, okay? And Act 3 will follow through the Thursday after that. But it means from an animation production point of view, we have 2 weeks from today. So 1 week tomorrow, and the next week, the week after that, so that we have a week on top of that for the edit to take place. So that's the kind of flow. We have problems with the recording of sound, the recording of the voices, because we don't have the other language people. But that's not our issue. I'll tell you more on that once I talk to the client. Okay. Anything that you want us to discuss? Anything you want to add? Anyone? That's the end. But if you have something you want to add, this is a moment you can add it.